What is his issue? Is he on drugs? And the mama pissing me off too. She need to stand up. This man here is a demon. Hello, little enzymes. Welcome back to Daisha's Digest. Today we have a couple of updates on some previous stories that we've covered, as well as a couple of new stories. All of the information is included in the description. Let's get into it. So the first story that has an update is the one titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my husband he needs to book a hotel for us while we attend my sister-in-law's wedding rather than share accommodations with his family?" So typically I do like a synopsis of what the story was about, but I'm going to try differently today. I'm actually just going to put those clips from the previous video into this video, and each video has timestamps, so if you're only wanting to see the update, you can skip. If you need a recap, you can watch the previous two clips. If you haven't seen, that story on this channel before, you can also watch the two clips. But I think that would be better than me trying to give a synopsis, because sometimes these stories I've covered like so long ago and I miss important details. So I'm just going to try it out this way for this specific update video, and let me know what you guys think of doing it that way. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband he needs to book a hotel for us while we attend my sister-in-law's wedding rather than share accommodations with his family? My husband and I are going to be traveling soon to attend his sister's wedding along with our 1-year-old son. The plan was that we would land at his parents' place and attend one of the wedding ceremonies there. A few days after that, there's another wedding reception in my sister-in-law's soon-to-be husband's city. My in-laws plan to book a few train compartments for the entire family and an Airbnb for the stay there, which is 2 to 3 days. I really don't want to be in a confined space with my in-laws for that long, especially with my son. My in-laws and I used to be cordial with each other until my son was born. A few weeks after delivery, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law visited us to, quote, help. All they did was just find any opportunity to hold him, regardless of whether he was asleep or in my arms, criticizing me for being too clingy with him when I would put my foot down, and basically started locking myself in my room with him. They'd lament on how poor my cooking was and how sorry they felt for their poor son/brother who had to endure it, until both my husband and I had had enough, and my husband hinted heavily that they had overstayed their welcome. Hinted? He would have had to do more than hint. If what she's saying is accurate, I would have needed him to fully speak up and say something on my behalf. Okay. She continues, I'm so grateful we're far enough away that we see them rarely. I told my husband a couple of days ago that I'd rather we just fly from his parents' place to the other city and just stay at a hotel while we attend the second ceremony. My husband said that would make us look snobbish, that he himself wasn't over the moon about the whole itinerary, but it was a family event and we should be with his family. The fact that he wasn't into it frustrated me even more because, we're all making ourselves uncomfortable. For what then? We got into an argument. His mother and sister's stay got rehashed, and I told him he was choosing to make me uncomfortable rather than potentially risk his family being affronted. Am I the a-hole? So there was an update 2 days later. It says, after reading the comments in my original post, I had decided that taking the flight with my son rather than the train was non-negotiable, and I hoped to convince my husband for the three of us to stay at a hotel. I brought up the topic with him again and said that a 22-hour train ride wasn't fair to our son. He's been doing really well recently with his sleep cycle, and messing that up for my in-laws' sake wasn't right, regardless of what they ended up thinking. I was firm about it. He finally agreed. I thought it meant that my son and I would be taking the flight and my husband the train, but he said he'd be taking the flight with us. He said the long train ride would be horrible for him without us, and that his family would bring up me taking the plane, and he didn't want to be around for that. He seems a bit avoidant when it comes to his family, and I don't like it. Like, stick up for your wife, bro. Like, what are you there for? She said I was really happy and decided to bring up hotel accommodations, and he agreed to that too, saying that his family were already going to be mad at us for taking the flight, so at this point we might as well make ourselves comfortable. When he told his parents about this, they did not take it well. My mother-in-law complained about how everyone was looking forward to playing with and entertaining our son, that it was a family event and it wouldn't be fun without us. She even suggested to him that I could take the plane and my husband and son take the train, but my husband shut that down and said that our son doesn't react well to having his normal routine disrupted and we'd see them there. Okay, so he does have a little bit of a backbone. Opie said, so that's that. This has been such a weight off my shoulders since we're taking the flight. We'll be there a day before everyone else and can tour the city by ourselves. I also hope we can avoid having to go to the Airbnb for everything. Like, they're going to expect us to have breakfast, lunch, dinner with them, but I'd rather we do our own thing for the meals, at least breakfast. But still, this has been such a relief. Thank you to all those who gave me advice in the original post. Well, I'm glad it worked out. I was a little concerned about her husband for a second there. It seems like he kind of got it together, but I don't know. So now that you saw the previous two clips, I'm going to read the newest update, which was a few days ago, April 6th, 2025, about 2 weeks later. She said, a while ago, I had posted about whether it would be okay if my husband and I abandoned his family's plan of a 22-hour train ride and a shared Airbnb, and the comments had given me the confidence to convince my husband to make our own plans. We came back from the trip last night and are back at our house now. After attending the first event in my in-laws' city, we had booked our flight for the second event for the same day as my in-laws had booked their train so that we wouldn't have to mind their house. We reached there a day before them and spent that day, the three of us, touring the city. My in-laws arrived a couple of hours later than scheduled, but said the trip was immense fun. However, my husband spoke to a cousin who he's close with and who was on the train, and he spilled some tea. He said it was all fun for the first 8 hours. Then old fights regarding inheritance and who'd been wronged by who 30 years ago got rehashed, which spoiled the mood. He also said my husband and I came up and the consensus was that my husband should be less submissive to me and put his foot down more often like a man and not be so wasteful when it comes to money for me and our son. How is he wasteful if he's spending money on his wife and kid? They sound jealous. She continues, we only met them for lunch and had breakfast at the hotel, despite their insistence because we wanted to relax and sleep in. According to that cousin, some of those fights had continued overnight at the Airbnb. The second wedding event went well. My husband and I had to put our foot down, though, because my mother-in-law would ask for my son and then hand him over to some random relative and be confused when he would start crying. Neither of our families live in our city, so we don't have a ton of relatives visiting us regularly, thankfully, just our friends, so he's not used to so many people, which we were told is bad parenting. After this happened a couple of times, we took turns with him and stopped letting other relatives take him. Their return ride on the train was yesterday afternoon. Our flight was in the evening. They're still on the train on their way back. I sincerely want to thank everyone who backed me up in my first post. I don't know how I would have handled it. I think it went exactly the best way that it could have gone. I'm glad she didn't go on that train ride. Having a 1-year-old on a 22-hour train ride is terrible, not to mention just herself and, like a 22-hour train ride. You people are mad. So there's the update for that one. The second update is from the story titled, My Wife Returned from a Work Retreat with a Hickey. She swears it's a bug bite, but I'm not convinced. I'm at a loss. How do I move forward? So I'll insert the original clips here My wife returned from a work retreat with a hickey. She swears it's a bug bite, but I'm not convinced. I'm at a loss. How do I move forward? I'm 27 male in a fight with my wife, 28 female. We've had fights before, but not this bad. I'm at a loss on how to proceed. For context, we're college sweethearts married for almost 6 years. We have a daughter, 4 female. Our relationship was never perfect or without challenges. We've faced some family opposition with cultural differences, but we've made it work. She's my first love and my best friend. My wife works in corporate. Her job has annual work retreats that last for about a week. This year, it was in Vegas. I usually arrange my work schedule and tag along with her, and we make our own trip out of it. We couldn't this year. Our daughter gets major anxiety traveling long distances. We're working on it, but she wasn't budging, and we decided to pick our battles. So I stayed behind and held down the fort at home. The change of plans was a bummer because the trip was part of us reconnecting as both a couple and as a family. My wife's work hours have taken a toll, and her work-life balance leaves much to be desired. We entertained the idea of her skipping the retreat. Attendance is optional, but it's generally frowned upon if you don't go, and my wife is making connections in her field. She grew increasingly weird. We have a system if either of us is away for extended periods, we keep in contact. For the first day or so, she was herself, but she grew distant. I'd even text her about important stuff and be left on read while she claimed she never saw my text. Whenever we talked, she was rushing me or our daughter off the phone. These were all times she wasn't involved in retreat activities. Starting to sound suspicious, sis. I don't know. He said we were supposed to have a mini birthday celebration for our daughter over FaceTime. Our daughter was excited. It was something my wife promised her because the retreat overlapped her actual birthday. But my wife backed out because she had people up to her room after a seminar. You choosing the people at the seminar over your daughter, who you promised? OP continues, it was like she wanted my permission to break her promise to our daughter. I told her I wasn't offering that, nor making her keep her word. She said I wasn't being fair, and this was a networking opportunity. They were business-oriented and wouldn't understand her stepping away for family time. I said her decision is her decision, but she'd have to explain it to our daughter. She promised her that she'd rain check the following day. Our daughter didn't understand and cried. My wife ended up hanging up and leaving me to comfort our daughter alone. Sheesh, that's crazy. That's actually insane. That whole incident rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like it. She didn't keep her word for the rain check either. She was documenting the retreat on social media. One coworker, 23 male, was almost in every picture or video attached to her hip. In one pic, he had his arm too comfortably around her, in my opinion. He's a recent hire in my wife's department. She was asked to oversee him. I don't like the guy. He doesn't know boundaries. Once, in response to a work assignment, he texted my wife that she's exactly the kind of woman he needs to keep him in check. OP continues. My wife had brushed it off. She feels bad for him because he's not fitting in. She took him under her wing. I'm sure she took him under something else too, OP. He said she took him under her wing during his first retreat with the team. If I'd questioned, she'd say she was tired or networking. There was always something. But I've seen her at these retreats. This was not like her. She was just off. The day before her return home, she complained about a bruise on her neck. She stressed it was a bug bite. Nah, sis is not living right. Sis is not living right. She already trying to prime OP for her alibi. She's already trying to be like, oh man, I got this bruise on my neck. I think I got bit. Really? He said, I didn't actually see the bruise until she came home. I instantly thought it was a full-on hickey. She kind of brushed it off after making a big deal of it over the phone. I didn't push because our daughter was present, but when I was able to confront her, she clung to her bug bite claim. When I kept pushing, she asked what I was trying to imply. I outright said I believed she had a hickey, and I didn't believe she was being honest with me. We had it out then. She was offended and pissed at the accusation. Infidelity has always been a sore topic. Her family has a history of infidelity. I'm sorry, OP. It might just be in her DNA. I'm sorry. Ooh, he said, so we had a pretty bad fight, and she accused me of looking to pick a fight due to the incident with our daughter's birthday. I told her it had nothing to do with that and everything to do with a hickey on her neck. The fight ended in an impasse. We're still not recovered. She swears it's a bug bite, but I'm not convinced. I've always trusted my wife. I never doubted her. But this bruise doesn't look like a bug bite. It looks like a hickey. I only feel more strongly when I consider how distant and weird she was during the Vegas retreat. Now, she's wearing turtlenecks ever since, and we're caught between arguing and her dousing our daughter and me with affection. Communication usually prevails for us, but not now. I think my accusation pushed us to a new level of argument. I'm at a loss here. I really need outside perspectives. How do I move forward? I'm not gonna lie. This would be a case for me to check that phone. Update 7 days later, I-27 male wanted to give an update and thank everyone who reached out. The outside perspectives helped. Things are a roller coaster. I'm trying to process. It took a while for my wife, 28 female, and me to have any real conversation about the bruise on her neck. We were stuck between arguing and her showering our daughter for a female and me with affection. I rarely saw the bruise because she was turtlenecked up. That's a huge red flag. Who wears a turtleneck if all you have is a bug bite? What are you trying to hide? He said, but I did note the healing process from a reddish purple to yellow. There wasn't any more discussions about the Vegas retreat. She made it clear she was done talking about it and that she shouldn't need to defend herself to her husband. Another red flag. Because if you really didn't do anything, I feel like if I really didn't do something, I would be trying everything I can to prove to my partner that I really didn't do anything. I'd be like, look, like, what can I do? Who do we need to ask? I can show you my phone. I can show you all the photos. I could, like, if you really didn't do anything. But the fact that she's like shutting down the conversation and not willing to discuss it anymore, she did something. She did something. OP continued, I told her she could do whatever she wanted, but I was done being treated like an idiot, and I wasn't sharing a bed with someone I couldn't trust. So I moved into the guest room. Communication stopped. The silences were palpable. Even our daughter noticed. I'm not proud of that. I try keeping her out of fights. My wife came to the guest room one night and asked if we could talk. I could tell she had been crying. She said she hated the way things were between us. She felt she was losing me either way. I told her I needed complete honesty. She confessed she hooked up with that coworker, 23 male, on our daughter's birthday. The hickey was from him. I knew it. She was lost in the heat of the moment and didn't realize he was on her neck like that. By her account, they made out while doing some on top of the clothes stuff and then some down under stuff. It stopped there, supposedly, because he called her by a nickname that I affectionately called her. It snapped her back to reality of her actions. She's lying. She's lying. It didn't dang stop there. She lying. You risked it for the biscuit and you claim you stopped there. You already, like, either way, you already there. You might as well eat the whole 2-piece spicy. You already ate the biscuit. You might as well have the whole meal. Don't act so self-righteous now because he done called you a nickname your husband called you. Child. And ignoring your daughter at that to go cheat. That's crazy. That's why I knew something was wrong with her. He continues, she went to splash water on her face and saw the hickey. The guy made light of it and made a joke about the hickey being her souvenir. She blew up on him and kicked him out of her suite. Part of the reason she was avoiding me was out of guilt. She said she's coming clean because she doesn't want to hide things anymore. I asked her why she cheated. What was it about that guy she deemed worth risking everything? She claimed it wasn't him specifically, nor is she unhappy with our marriage. She doesn't really know how to explain it, but a part of her feels broken. The more she looks in the mirror, the more she sees her dad, 57 male. A cycle of being consumed with work, distant from child, and the infidelity he put her mom, 55 female, through. She said her family never talked about anything openly, and how, when she was growing up, my mother-in-law never addressed anything with her. I said her parents didn't make her cheat. She chose to party up with a guy who constantly disrespected our relationship. These were all her decisions, and she, at any point, could have chosen our family. She agreed. She wants to blame her parents, but realizes this is on her. She apologized for cheating and for entertaining the guy's advances. She said she'll do whatever it takes to repair. Go to HR, quit her job, counseling, anything. She wants to make everything right. I told her I don't know what right looks like or if that's possible for us anymore. I knew we had our problems, but I thought there wasn't anything we couldn't talk out. She insisted we still could talk it out. We didn't have to give up on us. She tried giving this rally cry for our relationship, but I felt very numb. I said I didn't recognize her, not just the betrayal of our vows, but also how she treated our daughter. She's like a stranger. She feels she failed as a wife and mom, but she loves us both beyond words and wants our life together and our family intact. I told her I couldn't give her the answer she wanted and thought we needed to separate and reevaluate. She didn't want separation. You don't have no options here, sis. Like, you don't have any playing cards whatsoever. Opie said she felt we should stay together in our home, but I told her a separation was happening. Either she was leaving the home or I was with our daughter. She consented to leave so as to best not uproot our daughter so much. She asked for our daughter not to be taken away from her. My wife's staying with my in-laws. I know that's difficult in itself because she doesn't have the best relationship with her parents. One of the hardest parts is the shift for our daughter. Right now, she believes her mom's just busy with work per usual. She hasn't questioned it too much. My mother-in-law called the other day. She made no excuses for my wife, but she's advocating for us to work through it. She told me times when she heard my wife describe me as the anchor she always wanted. She believes there's something worth fighting for if I'm open. Despite some family opposition we faced throughout our relationship, my mother-in-law was always a supporter of us. I'm even more at a loss. I never imagined this kind of betrayal from my wife. She was my safe place. I feel numb yet broken. I'm in love with her. That hasn't changed, but I don't see myself, her, our relationship, or our family the same. Everything's more tense because it's fresh. I think this period of separation is for the best. I'm not sure about divorce. I haven't let myself fully go there. I'm not set either way. I don't know where things go from here, but I'm focusing on our daughter and taking things one step at a time. I feel that's all I can do right now. Thanks again to everyone for the support. It's much appreciated. And now that we have our recap, we can go into the new update. Update 14 days later. Thank you again to everyone who's reached out. I, 27 male, wanted to provide an update. Things aren't easy. I don't expect them to be. I don't regret the decision to separate. It was necessary. In many ways, I feel like my hand was forced with the betrayal and all the lies. I'm still finding my footing. I don't put people on pedestals, nor did I ever believe my wife's 28 female and my relationship was perfect. I just didn't think we'd end up like this after all this time together. While HR was still conducting their investigation on my wife and the coworker, 23 male, my wife resigned. Apparently, she received pushback. Some of the top brass were pulling for her to stay on. I wasn't too surprised because she's always been a yes employee who gets the job done. She worked with the company back as an intern in college. She said she wants to prove that she's taking every possible action and cutting ties with the guy. I don't know what the investigation result was for him. I don't care, to be honest. It's not a concern of mine. We've officially begun marriage counseling. It's a new experience overall. I didn't know what to expect. We're mostly discussing our relationship's journey up to now, the affair, and what we want from counseling. My wife's position on how the affair began remains consistent. She can't really explain it precisely. She wasn't unhappy with me, but a part of her feels broken. The undivided special attention became like a drug to her. The convo kind of shifted to my in-laws, 57 male, 55 female, my wife's family life, and the impact of my father-in-law's infidelity. She believes she's a reflection of her dad and how she is as both a parent and a spouse. As a parent, she tried convincing herself she was better than him by showering our daughter, 4 female, with gifts in light of her lacking presence. As a spouse, she's tried convincing herself she was better because the affair wasn't physical pre-Vegas. She thought as long as they didn't do anything physical, then she was better than her dad. That was something she told her affair partner while in Vegas, actually. They could hang out as long as it didn't turn physical. I feel like she had so many chances to choose differently, to choose us and our family, but she tossed our daughter and myself to the train tracks. Our relationship wasn't enough to stop her, our wedding rings weren't enough, and our crying daughter wasn't enough. She chose herself every time. She was selfish. She mentions the nickname thing, making her snap back to reality as if it's supposed to make me feel better. It doesn't. I believe she only stopped at oral because she got off and had no more need to go further. Sheesh. I wasn't on her mind. Telling me that was like trying to put a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. I didn't plan to say half of everything I did, but there was no going back once the door was opened during my turn to talk. She agreed and said she has no excuse for her actions. It's not her parents, it's just her. She swore that she loves me and our daughter and wants to fight for our family. I told her that the I love yous felt hollow now. She shut out our daughter and myself to give an intimate part of herself to her coworker. She said she realizes how much larger than just the affair our problems are. She struggles connecting with our daughter and worries about messing her up, so she left the primary caretaking to me. She believes I'm better at it. She said that there's nothing she can say to change anything, but she wants to show change through her present actions. That's some stuff we've dug through in counseling. We're still in the early stages, but I believe it's aiding in communication through separation, which is more healthy for our daughter. Our therapist recommended individual counseling as a complement. It's something I'm seriously researching for myself. Not much has changed with our daughter since the previous update. She still doesn't feel there's a difference between her mom being home or not. I've watched her go from talkative and playful to instantly completely silent when her mom came by. Dang. I've scheduled her for play therapy. I don't know what to expect from that either, but I'm hoping for the best. My main goal is being present for her. I know I need to learn how to trust again in general. That's shot right now. Pre-Vegas, I never had a reason to doubt my wife. My trust was something she had as an irreplaceable partner. I've been betrayed before, but this one did a number in a way the others hadn't. I'm trying to stay afloat and focus on what I have rather than what I lost. I can't afford to get lost in myself. Thank you to everyone for the support and for sharing your own experiences. Talking about all of this isn't easy for me, but I appreciate the openness. And then one comment, someone said, I am curious on the age of you all and when y'all first met and had your daughter. Only curious because this seems like a similar experience I had with my husband. We met at 19, pregnant at 21, jeez, and separated by 23. Oh my. We had gone our own ways, and 3 years later, we rekindled the relationship. His infidelity messed with me so bad. I always hope I made the right choice by giving him another opportunity to mend our family. We were young, he was dumb, I was in a hurry. Now that I'm 27, I want to go back and tell myself so many things, but I would then be preventing the creation of my daughter. It hurts the lessons we are taught from our spouses at such young ages. It stings a little more when it's least expected. Maybe taking time to see other people is something she needs to see what she really has. Unfortunately, my husband has to do this to realize I was that woman he was overlooking the entire time before. We are still finding our ground, but we're now almost 2 years into the rekindling. It hasn't been easy, it hasn't been pretty, and man, has it taught us both patience and grace when you come back. It takes a special couple to make things work again after seeing other people. Once a cheater, always a cheater can be true, but if that cheater does some hard work on themselves and proves it to you, I believe people can change, but only the rarest can. Why did she go back? Could she not find anybody else? Out of all the people, you really wanted to go back to that? I guess. OP responded, "We were college sweethearts. We met as freshmen. I guess we were still pretty young when everything came together, but I knew I wanted a life with her. Everything had made sense to us. I can relate to what you mean. There are a lot of things I'd tell myself back then. It's kind of strange because I don't look back with regret. I wouldn't have my daughter if I'd chosen a different path. I'm really sorry about your own experience. I think your journey shows an incredible amount of strength. I hope for the best for you and your family going forward." Okay, well, that was the last story that had an update, and now we'll go to the new stories for today. Buckle up. This one looked like it's gonna be a little bit long, child. So let's get into it. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad that horse is dead when he asked if we could have a relationship? My mom and dad married young and had 6 ladder step kids. The longest gap in ages between us is 27 months. My dad found a job that paid well, but he would be home for 2 weeks every 3 months or so. When he was home, he'd show some interest in us, but most times he'd be sleeping or watching TV. One night when he was gone for work and we were with our aunt, since my mom had to work, the whole neighborhood broke into our house, oh my goodness, and completely destroyed and stole everything. The whole neighborhood? When my mom took the cops to our neighbor's house, she pointed out every house that helped and said what they took because she, quote, wouldn't be the only one in trouble. After that, we went to our aunt's and my mom called my dad, told him what happened, and asked him repeatedly to come home. He chose to stay at work. After that night, we didn't see him for about a year and a half. What the hell? What? So they get broken into one night randomly. The mom calls and said, "Honey, come home. Like, somebody broke in. The whole neighborhood broke in." He said, "Nah, I'm gonna stay at work," and then just didn't come back for a year and a half. Why? They say when he did show up, it would be in sporadic intervals from 10 months to 2 years apart and only for a few minutes at a time, but always when my mom wasn't around. When I turned 14, he started coming around more often and started spending an hour or two with us every couple of months. He took a special interest in us living with him and would make a point to say it every time he saw us. He probably didn't want to pay that child support. At 15, I moved in and everything went downhill fast. He started mentally and verbally attacking my looks and my body. He'd talk about women often and how they should always submit no matter what. He would give me something only to take it back. He gave me an allowance, but would be mad if I spent it. He got upset with me for not talking to him enough, but would give one-word responses when I tried to start a conversation. Then there was a situation where I found some pretty damning evidence of his mistreatment of my mom on his computer. So he was just overall problematic. I was a busy kid with little to no free time. I was in sports, after school clubs, student council, theater, and prom/homecoming committee. When homecoming came around, I asked if I could go. He agreed and was reminded almost every week of when it was. The night of homecoming, when my date arrived to pick me up, he pulls me to the side and said I can't go because I had to help him pack and move out of our house. Completely blindsided because what? We did not discuss moving, and why would you wait until homecoming night to say something? We went back and forth for a little bit, and I offered to come home straight afterwards instead of spending the night with my friends like I intended. He was annoyed but agreed. The dance was over at 9. I got home at 9:45. I was helping pack along with some cousins he invited over, but I guess I wasn't going fast enough. He started yelling and and he ended up laying hands on me. I left immediately and called my aunt who came to get me. He started flooding my phone with texts and calls saying how ungrateful I am, how I cost him so much money, how bad of a person I am, etc. I didn't respond to any of it. This is terrible. He is a terrible, terrible man. After about 2 months, I started reaching out to him about my clothes and belongings, asking if we could talk, etc. He never responded and blocked my number. What is his issue? Is he on drugs? This is crazy. I went to his house a few months after that, but when he opened the door and saw it was me, he slammed the door in my face and started cussing at me through the door until I left. It has been almost 12 years since then. So OP is probably about like 30 years old now, around there. They say, on to a few weeks ago, I get a text from a random number calling me by my name. Me, who is this? Him, it's your dad. Me, what do you want? Him, I want to see about me being your dad and you being my daughter. A wave of confusion, disbelief, and finally rage washed over me all at once. I responded, that horse is dead. He waited a few minutes and replied, it's not dead, just on life support. But with some work, it can get better. Nah, bro, nah. He needs something. You reach out 12 years later after not talking to me at all, and the last interaction we had, you was cursing me out after you slammed the door in my face? Heck nah. You shouldn't even texted this number. She said I blocked him and called my mom. She said, that's still your dad. You need to let that hurt go and talk to him. Girl, the mama pissing me off too. She need to stand up. First of all, she put everybody in this position. She chose that man to have kids with, likely knowing the type of person he was. Talking about some that's still your dad. Girl, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Just because they're related to you does not mean anything. Anything. It means they were fertile enough to have a kid. That's it. Her response is what has me second guessing the way I handled this situation and has me thinking that maybe I was a little too harsh. Maybe trying to explore a relationship with him is something I should do. However, if this were a random person doing these things, it would be cut and dry to never speak to them again. So why should I give him another chance just because we are related? Why should I do the work on his terms when he wasn't willing to meet me or speak to me on mine? Why do I feel like the bad guy for making a stance for my own mental well-being? Why is it okay for him to mistreat everyone and only when he's ready is when it will be resolved? Should I listen to my mom instead and just talk to him anyway? Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your mama tripping. I'm not gonna lie. Your mama tripping. Leave that man alone. Nothing good will come of that. He has showed you time and time again. Nothing good is going to come of you responding to his message. Someone said, not the a-hole, he wants something. He's not calling for your benefit, only his own. You aren't obligated to let anyone into your life, regardless of relationship. But it's family. Nope. Tell any flying monkeys that they're welcome to have a relationship with them if they choose. You are choosing not to, and they will find themselves on the list as dear old dad if they keep pushing the issue. Someone else said probably needs a kidney or bone marrow transplant. It's something. He needs something serious. Another comment, this is going to be blunt, but both of your parents are very harmful and dysfunctional. Your dad is just straight up a harmful jerk, and he's contacting you because he wants something. Money, a maid, a kidney, a babysitter for a new family, who knows? But this is not coming from a place of love, just a place of greed. And your mom, well, she's telling you that harmful people who are related to you should be allowed to keep harming you. That's wrong. And she's a brainwashed enabler. I'm sorry because she's also an abuse victim, but she's enabling an abuser. Bury the horse and walk away. You will not regret it. I completely agree. Completely agree. Mama is tripping. Update 25 days later. Hello, everyone. I wanted to start by thanking everyone who commented. I don't know how to do an edit, so I'm posting, answering some questions, and addressing some comments I feel need clarification. I will update in a separate post because this might get long, so apologies in advance. I'm long-winded, deal with it, LOL. My mother, for all the people downing on my mother, just no. Find somewhere else to dump your trauma. I don't know, sis. She continues, my mother is a hard worker and giver and has been all her life. She graduated high school at 16, was a regional manager by 20, and purchased her first house in cash by 22. Needless to say, she was and still is doing well for herself. She volunteers to feeding programs, clothes/shoe giveaways. She donates money to charity, buys strangers food and clothes, babysits kids of struggling parents, or helps them financially, takes meals and clothes to senior citizens, even gives what she has right off her back. She has always been a giver and has a big heart for everyone. Even the people talking bad about her, she would still see that your needs are met. Sometimes a little kindness goes a long way. Okay, listen, I understand all of that, and your mother sounds like a wonderful person. At the same time, she is enabling your father's behavior. There's a difference between being nice and being enabling, and she might need to, draw the line a little bit there. They continue the break-in. Some people said it's fake. I wish it was. We were terrified, and I hope that never happens to anyone. Like I said, my mother was well off, but we lived in a not so well off neighborhood. The kids in the house behind us would steal our stuff often. They took our bikes, our balls, our swimming pool, our coats or clothes if we left them outside. Sometimes we'd get home and they'd be running out of our backyard because they were playing on our play set, which they eventually took too. When we would tell her, she'd just say, just let them have it. If they had to steal it, they may not have a way to get it themselves. Yeah, nah, she too nice. She too nice. That's ridiculous. Opie says, then she'd go buy us another one because she's always been forgiving to others. However, because of this, the neighborhood knew we had nice things in our house. The night of the break-in, that was the house she took the cops to. The mother of the kids is the one who told on 5 other houses. Surprise, surprise, they were all related. So it was basically one big family, all living close to each other, who did it. When we left to live with our aunt, they broke into our house 3 more times after that, I guess to get what they didn't take the last time. That's crazy. The evidence on the computer, there were emails of him asking his cousins and siblings to lie for him, saying they saw him send my mom more money than he did, or how they witnessed my mom not letting him see us. There were court documents of their divorce proceedings and a list of things he asked for, including a house my mom helped her sister purchase and the house we were currently living in that she bought with her own money before they were together. Lastly, a bunch of recordings of my dad calling my mom on the phone without her knowledge or consent and basically provoking her repeatedly to try and get a reaction. During the calls, he brought us up many times and called her a terrible mother for keeping him away from us, among many other things I won't repeat. She reminded him he chose to leave us and that wasn't on her. She never kept us from him. He's a grown man, and it's not her responsibility to make sure he maintains a relationship with his own children. There was a bunch of back and forth, but I guess she never gave him the reaction he was looking for because they all ended the same. He always got mad and ended up yelling, to which she said, "If you can't be an adult and talk, I'm hanging up." While most of these were sort of old, there were a few that were recent at the time, like really recent. The last recording I listened to was 2 weeks after I moved in. He told her that he finally got me to move in with him because I told him I hated her since she's a bad mom. That was the one that broke her. She started crying and basically told him he can say whatever he wanted to say, but that wouldn't change anything. She would be praying for him to find peace in his soul so he won't have to put others down just to feel powerful. To this, he laughed, told her she's being emotional, then said, "Whatever, here we go with your fake tears. Are you done?" And hung up laughing. This man here is a demon. I was disgusted and above all pissed. This whole time he's been telling me how much he missed us, how it's not his fault he doesn't see us more often, and how he always wanted us. Reality hit me, and it turns out it was just lies. I never told him she was a bad parent or that I hated her. He was absolutely using me just to get under her skin, using his own child like a pawn in his ultimate get-back game to hurt the mother of his kids after essentially trying to make us homeless in court. I realized that's why he had been adamant about asking every time he saw us to move in, and why he always made it seem like a dream to live with him. He wanted his court case to be stronger so he could legally steal from her. He coerced and manipulated me, and like a dummy, I fell for it, and I started to hate him for it. Towards the end of our relationship, I absolutely became distant, stopped talking to him unless I had to, and barely ate. I was a busy kid because I didn't want to be home. I figured if I drowned myself in sports, after-school programs, or volunteer work, it would be less time I'd have to be around him, so that's what I did. The conversation with my mom, of course the conversation was a lot longer than the 4 words I shared on my post, and her comment I shared was not the end of the conversation. We talked for about an hour and a half about it. At first, she was listening, asking questions every now and again, and overall letting me vent. She made the comment I shared, and when I voiced the same concerns I voiced on here, she heard me out. She said I should forgive him, not for him, but for me, because she doesn't want me holding on to hate in my heart and not to have regrets about not pursuing a relationship if he were to pass away. She never pressured me or made me think that that was the only option I had. At the end of the conversation, she said it was my decision and she'd support me in whatever choice I made. She is the furthest from a doormat, an enabler, or weak, like some of you said. She is the strongest person I know, because who among you can look at someone who did all of that but still forgive them? Okay. Some comments. It sounds like you've got an awesome mom. She's given you a great example of how to be a good person and how to approach the world with love. It takes time to learn, and nobody is perfect at it all the time, but trying definitely counts. It's true, forgiveness isn't for the forgiven, but for the peace it can bring to the forgiver. However, sometimes we're just not in a place to be able to forgive yet, and that's okay too. Don't dwell on it too much. You'll get there in your own time. You also don't have to have a relationship with him, even if or when the forgiveness happens. That's completely up to you. I was going to say that too. Just because you forgive somebody don't mean you gotta be kikiing with them every single day. Another comment, your mother is a good role model, and it sounds as if you are going to be more like her than you realize. She's shown you hard work, true love, and even forgiveness when not deserved. I would put your efforts into your relationship with your mother and aunts and whoever else is worth your effort. Lastly, forgive yourself. You were manipulated by a narcissist, and narcissism isn't a fatal diagnosis. If a narcissist wants to change, they can with a lot of therapy and hard work. I don't feel confident your father will change, so you need to set your boundaries. Facts. Update 4 days later. Hello all. Before the update, I wanted to say thanks for showing love and support. The sheer amount of comments on my post was a bit overwhelming since I wasn't expecting it to blow up the way it did. Thanks to everyone who sent words of affirmation and shared your own stories. That probably wasn't the easiest thing for you to do, and I appreciate your bravery, honesty, and vulnerability. On to the update. Okay, this is what I've been waiting for. All that other stuff, this is what I've been waiting for. A few days after I blocked my dad, my siblings randomly started asking about him and if I had spoken to or wanted to hang out with him. This was weird for several reasons, since 1, we never talk about him at all, and 2, they knew from past conversations I don't want to have a relationship with him. So if they do talk about him, it's never with me. At first, I was brushing it off, but after a few times, I started inquiring why they kept asking. They'd either changed the subject or made an excuse like, no reason, or I was just curious. About 3 weeks ago, I was talking to my older brother, and he mentioned having to run an errand. I offered to go with him. He hesitated, changed the subject, and tried to leave. I asked what he was going to do since I had stuff to do also. That's when he said to fix a truck. He said he won't be long, so I asked whose truck he was going to go look at and if he needed my help again. That's when he finally said it was our dad's truck. Confused, I asked how long he'd been talking to our dad for him to feel comfortable to go help him fix his truck. Apparently, this isn't new news. My brother has been seeing and helping our dad for years. From that conversation, I found out all of my siblings had been talking to and meeting up with our dad. Dang, that's crazy. They'd go to his house, dinners, shopping, shows, etc. Side note, no, I haven't told my siblings about the things I found on his computer or about the things he said to me while I was living with him. I don't think that will do anything but cause more confusion or strife. If they choose to be around him and he is being a dad to them, then great for them. Anyway, after I blocked him, I guess he asked them to ask me why I wouldn't speak to him. I was kind of upset with them because none of them had the decency to just be honest with me about their intentions and why they kept bringing it up, but I was more upset with our dad because why aren't you respecting my answer? I started to be a bit distant from my siblings because of this, and my older sister noticed. She came to me about a week ago and asked if I wanted to join them for a family dinner. I said, no thanks, so she left it alone. A few days later, she asked again. My answer hadn't changed, so she said I should just try it. She assured me she'd sit beside me or in between us if my only option was to sit by our dad. She said I didn't have to talk to him if I didn't want to, and I could just talk to her. But she wanted me to be there too. Maybe because I wanted answers from him, maybe to get her to leave me alone about it, maybe just to see what I would feel like being around him after all this time. Maybe it was none of these, or all of them at once. I think I was just over the whole thing, so I agreed to go. And oh boy, did it go. Okay, we cooking with grease. So 2 nights ago, we all met up at a restaurant. When I pulled up, my dad was waiting outside the building. I sat in the car until the rest of my siblings got there and we all walked up together. When our dad saw me, he went to hug me, but I walked past him. He moved to the front of me as we were walking so he could hold the door open for me. I just gave an awkward side eye and walked in the door. When we were seated, I sat at the furthest end of the table away from him, and my sister sat beside me like she said she would. She touched my hand under the table and whispered, "Just breathe," to me. I hadn't realized how tense I was until she said that, because I could physically feel my body relax, then get really hot after I exhaled. At first, my dad tried to talk to me and ask questions about my life, but I only gave 1 or 2 word responses or a head nod. Eventually, he started talking to the rest of my siblings. I spent the rest of the time mainly in silence, just pushing the food on my plate around. Towards the end of the meal, I excused myself to the restroom, but left my bag and phone there. When I got back to the table Everyone was gone, and so was my stuff. I looked out the window and saw them walking towards the cars, so I went to head out to see who had my stuff. When I came to the front doors, my dad was waiting there, blocking the doorway with my stuff in his hands. I looked at my stuff and then at him. He went to hug me again, but I took a step back. Bro, like, she don't want to give you no dang hug. Now you resort to theft to try to coerce a hug out of her? Leave her alone. She says he started talking about how he wanted us to be a family and how he knows I'm mad at him right now, etc. But honestly, I just tried to disassociate. In his whole speech, I never heard an apology, just how my, quote, emotions were keeping me from opening back up to him, quote, like old times. After a while, I reached for my stuff again, and that's when he grabbed me and hugged me. I wanted to push him off, but I'm barely over 5 feet, and he's a lot taller and stronger than I am. He said, "You know I love you, right? Right? Right?" And wouldn't let go of me until I said, "Sure." He kissed my forehead, ugh, handed me my stuff, and left out the door. Ugh. At this point, I'm just numb. I cried all the tears I could. I've screamed all the screams, grieved the childhood I'll never have and the future I can't see in him. Grieved all the memories only I have to share with myself. Like being the youngest MVP as a freshman on a team of seniors who went to states and won 3rd place. Like how I broke the school record 3 years in a row, or how whenever I was on stage during a play, I saw everyone's parent but my own. How I walked myself out on senior recognition night and waved to a crowd full of strangers alone. How I never got to go to a daddy-daughter anything, or how I could never call him up to talk about my day or boy trouble. How he won't be the one walking me down the aisle or be a part of my children's life if or when I have them. This night solidified to me the hunger I had for him to show that he actually wanted me was gone. The anticipation of him saying, "Baby, I messed up. How can we fix it together?" That never came. At the end of the day, he was still him, a smooth talker who only wants what he wants and nothing more. I've checked out with him, and I don't think I'll be opening up this door again. Sorry, this isn't the rainbows and sunshine ending some of you were expecting, but life doesn't always go to plan. I will continue to work on me and trying my best to be the example my mother set for me to forgive. However, I guess that brings me to the only question that's left unanswered. Can I truly and deeply forgive and never want to see him again? At this point, I just feel indifference towards him. That's tough, man. Some of the comments: your sister hung you out to dry, letting him hold your things hostage to force you to talk to him. All 4 wheels right under the bus is where she threw you. I'd go no contact with all of them. Another person: tell your sister the truth. Show her the emails if you have them still. Another comment: your siblings screwed you over, especially your sister. She made you a promise and then totally broke your trust. You can't trust your siblings any more than you can that thing that calls himself your father. I would never speak to your sister again. She can't be trusted. And the last comment: bingo, cut them all out. Sometimes when someone takes the no contact route, siblings or other family members try to help, but they make it worse. When someone gets to the no contact point, the conversations and explanations are done. The person choosing no contact is limp from anger, hurt, and pain. What's worse than someone who hurts you is someone who enables them. That is rough. Oh, also wanted to shout out, this was posted on the Comfort Level Pod subreddit. It's another Reddit channel on here. I didn't realize that until now. But I'm all on board with no contact. Honestly, you don't even need a reason for no contact. If you don't want to talk to somebody, you ain't got to talk to them regardless of who they are, period. No is a complete sentence. It don't matter if it's your mama, your daddy, your granny, your auntie, your uncle, your sister, your brother, your dog, your cat. If you make a decision that you don't want them in your life and you don't want to have communication, that's it. There's nothing that anyone else should feel that they can say to change it, unless that someone is you. She had her experiences growing up. Her experiences led her to that decision. That's it. So for her sister, I would be upset with the sister. Like, how you talking about something, you gonna be beside me and you letting him take my stuff and basically corner me into a hug at the end of it all. That's the last. There's nothing left on that story, so we'll go to the next one. This one says, I, 27 male, overheard my sister, 25 female, confess her love for my fiance, 30 male. How do I confront her? That's crazy. Using a throwaway since I don't want this attached to my main, since some friends follow that too. Anyways, so I'll get into it. My friends recently hosted a little party / get together for my sister since she had been gone for a while in Florida with her boyfriend, but was coming back up north after they broke up. Oh, okay. It had a few of our mutual friends along with some of her old high school buddies and some cousins. My fiance and I had gotten there a bit late, but we were excited to join the celebration, and I was mostly happy to see my sister again since she had been pretty distant and rarely texted or called. Nothing really happened other than some shots being poured and food being ordered until it was getting late and people started getting really drunk. Since wedding planning has been exhausting, my fiance and I were going to leave early. To sum up a really quick moment, I had been walking to the bathroom and past the bedroom where I heard my sister crying into someone's arms. Originally, I was gonna go see if I could help or comfort her, but then I heard my fiance's name and paused. I definitely think I was a jerk for listening in, but I was curious and a bit drunk myself. But from what I gathered, she was sobbing about how seeing my fiance made it all real again, and that she didn't want to deny her feelings anymore, especially now that he's getting married to me. What really stuck out to me was when she said that she just wanted him to, quote, notice her too. I have questions. So is it that the sister is being delusional and she just has like a conflated crush on the fiance? Or is it that something happened with them before in the past and now she's jealous? Either way, like at this point in time, he with your sister. So, and they're engaged. So she said, I left pretty quickly after that and haven't told anyone about what I heard. Maybe I never saw the signs, but she was always so polite and friendly with my fiance. She knew him before anyone else since we were high school sweethearts, and I came out to her first when I was struggling with my identity. Oh, is he gay? Oh, I missed that part. So he don't, wait a minute. Unless the fiance is bisexual, you don't even have the chance. So she pining over somebody who don't even like women. Child. So I think I said she, because I missed that part. He says, it's just such a strange thing to hear this from her, but part of me wants to just blame it on drunk brain. She's never said anything like this before and even greeted him when we got to the party and they connected on a mutual interest for a bit, and she was so warm to me too. I want to confront her to see if she meant it, but I'm also just so terrified of the results of it all. My family has stayed drama-free, and I'd hate to ruin everything now that my sister just got back from being away. I really need advice on how to proceed and how to ask her about it without causing a scene. The party was a week ago, and I just feel sick whenever she messages me or calls to ask about wedding stuff or just general chatting, so I know that I need to do something. Has anyone been in a situation like this before? And then the crazy part is she was crying to someone else about it. So at least one other person at the party and or within the friend group knows about this. She's had conversations about this with someone else. That's crazy. Nah, you gotta say something. Someone said, talk to your fiance first, see if he has any idea she felt this way or if she's ever made odd comments that make sense with this information. Another person, I would talk to your fiance and tell him what you heard so he's aware of the situation and the two of you can have a united front. I would also talk with your sister, letting her know what you overheard. I agree. Someone said, you are no longer drama-free. Conflict avoidance has never once solved any problem effectively. Your fiancé deserves the right to know in order to make his own decisions about how he chooses to interact with your sister, rather than you making the choice for him because you're afraid of drama. I can't tell you where this will lead, but it's not an issue that goes away by staying stagnant and pretending it never happened. By no means am I saying you need to have a massive, ugly blowout with your sister. You do need to inform her and your fiance that you are aware of what she said and what this means for the foreseeable future. Stress from a wedding and drunken confessions are hardly reasonable excuses. Nip this in the bud before resentment begins festering, if it hasn't already. Someone suggested basically to sit her down in a neutral place and have a conversation about it. OP responded, "That's a good idea. I honestly haven't thought of the where I would be confronting her. I'm hoping to plan something soon once I can talk to my fiance after he gets home. I might use your coffee shop idea or invite her to a park or something, since it makes a lot of sense that she might feel like I'm attacking her. Thank you for the advice." Someone said, is your fiance bisexual? Seems that if he's gay, this is a total non-issue and you guys can laugh that your sister thinks she can change a dude's sexuality. I'd talk to your fiance and tell him what you overheard. He deserves to know in case your sister does something dumb, like trying to corner him to kiss him. Yeah, right, because that's what it sounds like it's leading to. OP responded, "He's gay," which makes it even weirder because my sister knew about that early on. She had always been pretty supportive of us together, which makes this even more confusing. I'd definitely talk to him soon, but I really hope she doesn't try anything. Someone asked if they have a history, the sister and the fiance. OP said, "Not that I know of, honestly. They had a few classes together in high school, and he was invited to a lot of family gatherings since we were so close, though they never hung out past that, to my knowledge. She had left for Florida about 6 years ago for college, so they definitely haven't seen each other between those times. I'm planning to talk to him when he gets home from work, though, and I trust that he hasn't done anything. I do hope to leave my parents out of it, since they are both pretty old at this point and don't need to handle sibling issues for us anymore. Thank you for the advice." Let me go to the update because I'm eager to hear what happened. Hi again, everyone. I first want to thank all the people that responded. I really didn't expect to get so much advice. I probably would have still been panicking and bottling this up if you guys didn't help out. Unfortunately, it still went bad, but I'm glad I listened to you guys for it all. Also, to clarify a few things I saw people get confused on in the comments. My fiance is gay, and I never doubted his loyalty, which is why I barely mentioned him in the original post. I was mostly concerned about my sister since we had wanted her in the wedding party, so it was extra scary to hear she was crushing on my fiance. Along with that, I know a lot of you said to just leave it be, but for the reason above, along with my personal beliefs, I really didn't want to let it simmer. Anyways, I ended up talking to my fiance the day after I made the post, once he got home from work and we were settled. I sort of word vomited at him, but I tried to remember the advice I had gotten. He was equally disturbed, probably a little bit more since he has dealt with a similar situation at work once. We both definitely wanted to talk to her and just clear the air, and ended up making a little plan to meet her in the park. Originally, it was only going to be me, but my fiance wanted to stay nearby in the car. So yesterday I texted her and we met. Honestly, I'm still recovering from everything she said to me, so I won't repeat much of it here. The basic gist is that once we chatted for a bit, I brought it up gently that I had heard her at the reunion party and wanted to communicate with her about the things she said. One thing I didn't feel the need to mention in the original post was that I am also a transgender man. It didn't matter to the issue, or at least I thought it didn't. Okay. I see. So the sister is thinking since OP, first of all, the whole issue is crazy, just point blank. Like, you trying to go after your sibling's fiance? Crazy. But in the sister's mind, it's like, oh, OP used to be a girl, but now OP is a guy. That means I could potentially have a chance with the fiance because I'm a girl. So maybe the fiance does like women in some capacity. Like, that's what I'm thinking was her thought process. But again, the fact that she was even considering her sibling's fiance in the first place is wild. So OP continues. However, once I asked my sister, she started on a whole tirade with a lot of right-wing talking points, mostly that she didn't get why my fiance was settled for a confused girl rather than someone like her, and admitting that yes, she has feelings for him since she thinks he deserves better than me. Sheesh, that's rude as hell. I didn't say much to her, but once I realized what was going on, I just said that I was done and left. I really don't know how she's changed so much since the girl I grew up with. She moved to Florida. 6 years in Florida can do a number on a person. I'm just saying. Opie said she used to be super supportive, which she even acknowledged and said she was just as lost as I am. After that, I was just a mess. So I apologize for not updating sooner. My sister is living with my parents while she works to get a job in the new area, so she's also started telling them about the conversation. Both of my parents don't want to get involved, which I understand, and I tried texting her to tell her to stop bothering them, but she blocked me, so I guess that's that. My fiance wants to cut her from the wedding as a whole, and I'm just leaning on him as a pillar right now. I wish this was a happier update, and I still really don't know what to do. Still, thank you all for the advice you gave, and if you guys have any advice on how to deal with this new issue, I'll take it. Is there a way to get through to her? I don't believe there is. She already sounds like she's in the throes of delusion. The fact that she's trying to go after her sibling's fiance is already an indication that she is lost in the sauce. There is no coming back for this lady. You definitely will have to exclude her from the wedding. I don't see a situation where having her in the wedding is going to be good. Not with this mindset that she has right now. So for the palate cleanser, I'm just going to do a couple of stories that I saw on the Spread Smile subreddit, a couple of like meme posts, screenshots, whatever. The first one says, last night I was alone in the ER and crying, getting an IV put in. Always a challenge for me because of my veins. And my nurse gave me her phone and told me to go through her Tinder matches and weed them out for her to distract me. What did we do to deserve nurses like actually? That is so funny. Another one, a girl in my sorority once ran across campus to bring me a battery for my insulin pump because I was in lab, and today she pulled out a handful of batteries and said she carries them around just in case I need one, and it's honestly the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me. Okay, one more because this is hilarious. A duck runs in a marathon and gets a medal. So it literally is a duck running in, in the crowd of everyone else in this. It doesn't look like an official marathon because I see like some kids and stuff, but it's, some sort of like marathon race thing. He actually runs through the thing.
Go, 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 go. I watched the duck run a race and cross the finish line.
He got a medal. That is hilarious. He got a medal and they did like a little photo op at the end and everything. That's funny. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.